Good day to you. I like to bring some thoughts for discussion as we go through this time. We know that Omicron is spreading everywhere, and it's clear proof that viruses by natural mutation do not gain function but lose their function. There's regression. So gain on function needs human design or intelligent designer. This is how gain on function happens. But with natural mutations, qualities run down. So what has happened with the virus is that though it is attaching to the ACE2 receptor, the more pathogenic attachments with N protein and other proteins, those functions have diminished, so the virus is less pathogenic. Some scientists are hoping that it will spread natural immunity because the Omicron seems to be improving T-cell immunity. So these are speculations, and the features of Omicron is more headache, a little runny nose, sometimes body aches, rarely cough, and it blows away in a few days. Of course, it's a big problem because children catch it easily from school, so this is the confusion. But also you still get reports of the Delta variant still doing some rounds, but most of what is happening now is the Omicron virus. So some think it is very clear that it has lost quite a bit of its pathogenicity or the ability to do, infect, do the pathologies in the lung and other systems, that it may blow off is the hope. So we come to the point, not only where did this come from, at the height of civilization and advancement of science, just consider this, they hatch adders' eggs and weave the spider's web, which means it's a process where others get into trouble. So I want to enter into a little discussion, retrospect or introspection. Have we, with our advancing knowledge, made life better or made life more competitive? For instance, during last few months, some billionaires have earned $1 billion for a day, and such billionaires have increased. Most of the people have lost their income. Nations are struggling, governments are struggling. So this is why I read this passage, hatching adders' eggs and weaving spider webs in which others get caught. And had the ant or the fly seen the spider web, it may not have gone that way, but they know it's a spider web only when they get caught up in it, and their struggle only makes it worse. And then it says again, they do not know the way of peace, and there is no justice in their tracks. So justice is being fair, benefactor being fair to the beneficiary, doctor to the patient, lawyer to the client, the government to the citizens. So that is justice. So this passage says they do not know the way of peace, there is no justice in their tracks. So this reference to justice means when you have power, what you do with it. So we have heard it, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely, but it is also true that every little bit of power begins to corrupt. So they do not know the way of peace, there is no justice in their tracks, they have made their paths crooked, whoever treads on them does not know peace. So peace is where what you do is good for you, good for others. That is the definition of peace. But what you do is beneficial for you and not so for others, there is no peace. So Field Marshal Montgomery said, wars begin in the minds of men. And we know this virus has been raging and peace has been taken away from many places. And many family businesses have crashed, and only mega chains are surviving. And in countries like US and UK, often the packages were given to, shutdown packages were given to already thriving major industries. So we are in a time like that. Justice is far from us. Righteousness does not overtake us. We hope for light, but darkness, brightness, but we walk in gloom. So the scientific process was everybody was groping virtually in the dark, and we have arrived at this point. All of us growl like bears and moan sadly like doves. How is that contradiction possible? What happens is, when we meet weak people, we growl. When we meet powerful people, it's our turn to mourn. So this is how it goes. A huge, big vehicle on the road behaves like a monster, a master, and small vehicles have to get off the road. But when we meet a bigger vehicle, then we are at the receiving end of growls. So this says, the growling like bears we do to weak people, and then our turn comes to mourn sadly like doves. So this is a diagnosis. How might this change? I want to introduce to you 5 words as a living style. Just see how these 5 words sit with you in a situation like this. You see, do not fret. We are told do not do 3 things. Do not fret because of evildoers. Do not be envious about wrong because they are getting ahead beyond us. But we are told to trust. So that it means to establish relationships that are long lasting. So trust comes from leaders who lead for the betterment of the person. And then this dealing with growling like a bear comes from the offense and the power we wield. So we can put down others, and when we get our turn to return, then the blood feud goes on. So we carry cudgels, but we rather bury the hatchet than weave the hatchet. This would be a lifestyle that will promote peace. So trust is where you know your power is secure. You don't have to show your power. You don't have to throw your power. And this suggests to trust in the good shepherd who has designed for us our ability to make us a benefactor. So we are benefactor to our family, we are benefactor in our profession, we are benefactor in our workplace and in our neighborhood. Benefactor is living life as receiving, having received a good skill, having received a grace and a gift for the betterment of others. That's what a benefactor is. So the wise designer designed the world for benefactors to have beneficence and benefit those who are in need. This is what trust is. So trusting, to keep trust, because we are received, maybe a doctor, maybe a lawyer, maybe accountant, maybe just the family as dad and mom. The responsibility of raising, recently I said, the most important corporate dad is the family affair that you sit and preside on, do that well at meal times, appoint a happy family time. So this is the way the benefactor works with trust, loyalty, the way he has cultivated and sown his benefit into others. That's what trust is. Your expectation of life is a good thing, a benefit, not a misfit. When people mistrust, at every turn they expect the worst, and they lose hope and they become worse. But when benefactors exercise their beneficial authority, society begins to develop trust in different relationships, particularly trust in superior, senior and junior relationships, trust with peers. And this quality of trust, I am suggesting, comes from a source of all good. If there is no source of all good, life is just a struggle for existence, then all is fair in that war of struggle for existence. If you believe in the struggle for existence, you will say fittest survive. When going gets tough, the tough gets going. Might is right. Those will be your slogans. And trust is not an issue, because when you have power, Oliver Wendell Holmes, the judge said, those who have power decide on what is just. That is sociological law. And in the French Revolution, the better people fashioned the revolution, and the worst people ended the revolution. So when Danton, the great theorizer of the French Revolution, was with his neck on the guillotine, commissioned there by his erstwhile colleague Robespierre, Danton understood that what he started theoretically, more brutal fellows like Robespierre began to continue with it till in 1815, Napoleon caught up with all the bloodshed and became a dictator. That's a little bit of history. So I'm on the point of first word is trust, second word is do good. Now you may say I'm powerless, I'm poor, but do good in the things you can do good. That's the principle. A good designer, a good shepherd has fashioned our heart for good, but there is a corruption. So Leonardo da Vinci was drawing his famous picture. I think Leonardo da Vinci, yes, was drawing his famous picture up on the attic of a huge big church in those days, and he was painting it and he was appreciating it so much. He went back and he was going to fall off the scaffolding on which has been erected for that purpose. Then his pupil took acted quickly, took few pots of ink and paint and threw it on the picture. And what you had was a perfectly done picture marred by stains. That's what human life is. Of course, the master's life was saved because the pupil acted to save the master's life, and the master leaped forward, and that stopped him from going and falling down 3-4 stories. So I took that impression to get you to understand human life is well designed for good, but it has so many marks and stains, thorns and thistles. So second thing is do good with whatever you have. If it's giving a little tuition, you have some knowledge in one subject, do good. 3, we are asked to dwell in the land, that is, occupy the good premises you have been given. Everybody has given a plot of land for living. That is your skill set and your inheritance, plot of land. So you have been given, this is everyone's human right, a plot of land. Dwell in that place that you will best do. So we want Sri Lanka to do well. We want to dwell in this land and do well. I'm Dr. Lalith Mendis. I'm making this plea for everyone who may not believe even in a good shepherd, but to understand that he has designed good in us, and that can bring great dividends for us, our families, our children, and when we become benefactors, seniors in another field, we can. I need to say that I did not believe like this when I was about to enter medical faculty. I didn't believe that there's any design. I just said struggle for existence, fittest will survive. But I found when my brain knowledge increased, because I came first in the island in the A-level examination in 1970 in botany, zoology, physics, chemistry. I found when I became first in knowledge, my heart began to shrink, and through some experiences I found that brilliance of head does not mean brilliance of heart. In fact, the two have an inversely proportionate relationship. As your brain power increases, your heart care decreases. Consider that and see. So that's how I began to understand. I need a good shepherd, I need trust, I need to believe in sowing the good I have been designed to do, and then to dwell in the land, doing the best. That best harvest is always available in the land you are apportioned. So you keep sowing seed, keep watering, and that harvest is enough for you. And we work with one who is the master of the harvest, or the Lord of the harvest. So as you go through seasons of life, 25, 50, 75, consider what your harvest has been. Then cultivate faithfulness. So that's a life journey. You don't prosper and do as you please. You cultivate faithfulness. So cultivate faithfulness. Fifth one is take care of what you delight. That will form the desires of your heart. Take care of what you delight. That will formulate the desires of your heart. And if you work with your good shepherd, he will apportion to you green pastures and a table of life. In that table, he has what he has apportioned for you. You will have your place. You may be a junior. You may be a middleman. You may be senior. There will be places of seats, people that the good shepherd has assigned to come into your life, from whom you can benefit and practice this trust. Do good, commit, then dwell and cultivate. This is how you increase in your plot even in old age. You have a promise that you will be fruitful and fertile even in your old age. This is the promise that the good shepherd has. You can get to know him. Thank you for listening. And this is how I realized that you need to work with the design of a good shepherd, and his table for life is your place, is your proportion, are the people and the purposes that you were designed to live for, the 4 P's: the people, the place, the proportion, and the purposes. I like you to send me a response in a WhatsApp to +94 76 313 4800, +94 76 313 4800. Then I will respond, not a call but a WhatsApp. Also, you can receive my app free of charge, Golden Nuggets, Dr. Lalith Mendis. And I speak a lot on pharmacology because I was the head of Department of Pharmacology in a state medical faculty. So if you want any more clips about the digital issues that kids suffer, which is my research field, or about any other topic, this Golden Nuggets app can be downloaded from Google and App Store, and also I can send you the link. So thank you for listening. We will meet again in a midday talk.